Okay, so on the first deal, I made 15,000, right? But on the second deal, I made 8,000. So on February 28th, I got a contract for that first house. But that didn't mean I stopped, okay? When I got that contract on the first house, I kept going. I tried to get more and more and more contracts on houses. So February 28th to March 17th, on St. Patrick's Day 2014, I got 2 houses under contract. All right. The first one was one of my sorority sisters. We were friends on Facebook, and I'd been mouthing since December that I want to buy houses, and I'm looking for houses, and I want to buy houses. And so she caved, and she was like, "All right, Whit, I don't know what you're talking about, but I understand you're buying a lot of houses, so let's sell you mine. What's the plan? What's the scoop?" So I went over to her house and met with her and her husband, and what had happened was they had a house that they were living in. I think she bought it right after college, and they lived there for a couple years, but they'd been married for a couple years, and they were ready to get a bigger, better, badder, nicer house, right? So they were in a position that they had found a house. They'd already put money down on it, but they did not want to be landlords. They did not want to put their house on the market and wait and not know how long it would take to sell. So they said, what's the plan? What do you have going on? And I said, well, I can get this house from you for whatever you owe on it. And on that house, let me check my spreadsheet. They owed 111. Okay, they owed 111,000 on it, and it was a beautiful house. They'd redone the kitchen. It was totally great. They owed 111 on it, and let's see if my spreadsheet says how much the monthly payment was. No. Okay, so they owed 111, and it was probably worth 115 or so. And so I told them, what I could do is, since they didn't have a lot of equity in it, I could take over their payments starting in 3 months, and I would basically find somebody that was going to move into the house, because I wasn't going to be moving in the house. I already had a house. This house that they were living in was not on my side of town, but I was basically taking anything and everything I could get, right? So my first house has been in Dandridge. This house was in West Knoxville, which is like an hour away. So I had not found a honey hole yet. But anyway, she agreed that I could buy it for the 111 that they owed on it. I had 2 or 3 years to pay them off, cash out this mortgage, and I could buy it for 111 and take over their payments. Let's say their payments were $700 a month. Maybe their payments were $600 a month. We'll go with 6. So I had 3 months from March before I was going to make my first payment. So I had April, May, June, July. My first payment was going to be in July. Okay? So since they'd already found a house and they were moving out, again, I kicked these people out of their house. I told them that I would not get started on it until the house was empty. And they were set to close on their new house in like a week or 2. So we postponed it, and I don't know if they were out by the 1st of April. I think they were out by the 1st of April, so that they made April, May, June's payments, and I made July's. Okay, I was on the hook for July's. So what happened, I got the house. I took pictures of the house. Everything was gorgeous on it. When they left in 2 weeks, I went and put a lockbox on it, and I started advertising it on Craigslist, on Zillow, everything. And I was advertising it as a lease option, which I learned was wrong. You want to advertise stuff as a rent to own. I found a couple, and they had $8,000 that they could put down on a house, but they had crappy credit. They had good jobs, and I think he was kind of in between jobs, so he didn't have 2 years of a W-2. She had 2 years of a W-2, very good, strong W-2, but they wanted him to be able to go on the mortgage as well. So they said that they would make a payment, and I think they were paying $850 a month. I don't know why I have that number stuck in my head, but that's what I think they agreed to pay. They also agreed to put $8,000 down on this house and buy it for $115. Now, my people owed $111. I found a tenant buyer who was going to pay them more per month and give them more than I'd agreed to pay on the total purchase price. So again, I signed this deal. I had a contract with my seller, and I said, I'm going to pay $111 at $600 a month, and I'm going to be able to buy it in 2 or 3 years. But when I put it out on the market and I found this tenant buyer said that they would buy it for $115. They would pay $850 a month, and they would be able to buy it in a year. All right. So in my head, I thought, well, my seller would get $4,000 more if they sold it to this tenant buyer. They would close 2 years before I was going to be able to if they went straight with this tenant buyer. And they would make money per month. They'd make about $250 a month if they went straight to the buyer. So I signed it. Okay, I said, you know what? I'm not going to stay in the middle of this deal. I'm not going to front their monthly payments. But what I will do is I'm going to be a matchmaker. So, Mr. Seller, Mrs. Sorority Sister Seller, I've found you, and you don't want your house anymore. I found a tenant buyer who doesn't qualify right now, but will totally qualify in like another year. They're going to give you some money down, okay, because I knew they had $8,000. I wasn't going to give them any money down. And they were going to be able to make the payment starting in June. So I told my seller this. I said, I found somebody. They've got bad credit, but they're good people. They got good jobs. They're going to be able to pay you money up front. They're going to be able to pay you more money every month. And they're going to give you more money when it's all said and done than what I'd agreed to. But for you to do that, I'm going to step out of this deal. I'm not going to be in the middle of it. Y'all have to work out the monthly payments amongst yourselves. You'll have to work out, getting the financing done amongst yourselves and closing it out. You'll have to do that amongst yourselves. Now, I'll be around. You can call me if you have any questions or anything, but I'm not going to stay in the middle of this deal. I'm just going to assign my rights to it and be out. Okay? And my seller was like, actually, that sounds like a pretty good idea. I'll get some money down. I'll get more per month. And I'll get more at the total purchase price. And she was like, so what do you get, Whitney? And I said, well, honestly, they have $8,000 to put down. I was thinking I'd give you $1,000, and then you'll get, $4,000 more at closing at between $111 and $115, and you're going to get $250 a month more for the next 12 months. That's, what is that? Another $2,000? $3,000. So I thought, all things being equal, you're going to get money, but you're going to get it over time. So I'll take most of what they're going to put down. And my seller again was like, all right, yeah, I see how that's fair. Cool. So out of the $8,000 that they gave me, I gave $1,000 of it to my seller as an option fee, a non-refundable option fee, not a down payment. Mortgage brokers do down payments. I do non-refundable option fees. And the other $7,000, we use that as an assignment fee. It wasn't a commission because it didn't go on the MLS. It was an assignment fee because I had the contract with the seller. I wrote her a $10 check so that I had a vested interest in the property. And I ended up, renegotiating that contract and then selling my contract to somebody else. That's what an assignment is. You get a deal, you set up a lease option, and then you sell your paperwork to somebody else who's going to fulfill that contract for you. So I collected $8,000, but I gave $1,000 of it back out. So I guess I only made $7,000. But these people moved in June. So, everything was fine on that side. They made the first payment in July. And as of right now, this is July 2017. That was 3 years ago. I don't actually know if they've closed. I should probably check in on my sorority sister and see what's going on. But I was out of the deal. So I did not front the monthly payments. I did not flip this house. I didn't have any of my money involved except a $10 check so that I had vested interest in the property. And that's how we got it done. My seller never asked me to go to the bank. My seller never asked me to put this in my own name. My seller never asked for me to give her any money until I found somebody with money. So I did not use my credit. I did not use a banking connection. I did not use my money. I did not flip this house. I did not use a license. And I made $7,000 and like between, okay, so March 17th, I got the house under contract, and I think it was the middle of June. So in 3 months, I made $7,000. And so the first one closed the middle of May, and then early middle of June. So 3 weeks after I got $15,000, I got another $7,000. So I bought another house on St. Patrick's Day of 2014. You know, second day I got somebody to sign a contract with me, and I got 2 people to sign a contract with me. But I'll tell you about my third deal on the next video. Bye.